He's a specialist in finding, attracting, and hiring top-tier sales talent in a very specific industry. With years of experience in recruitment strategy, he's helped companies build high-performing sales teams by ensuring they bring in the right people from the very start. Hiring is selling is hiring is life. He's a trusted advisor to sales leaders. He knows exactly what separates average hires from top performers and how managers can win that game of talent. Welcome to Leadership That Sells. This is the podcast that helps you lead first and sell more. Great sales teams need great leaders, but too often sellers become managers without the right training and support. And that's why we built the Leadership That Sells playbook course to share just what leaders need and no more. 2 30-minute live expert-led sessions a week over 9 weeks with coaching clinics wrapped in on top. Check it out at the Practical Leadership Academy. David Revell, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Great to be here, Paul. Thank you for giving me your time. I think I've got some really interesting, unique things that maybe sales leaders haven't heard about before here, which could really change their business and their team. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
I was looking at some of the work you've been doing, and it's outstanding. It's absolutely outstanding what you've done. And it's so bloody simple. It just is so annoying. You are an annoying person because you're right and you're good at it. Okay. And I hardly know you. So there's me coming straight out. You've taken the idea that sales is everything, as we know, because sales is life. And if you haven't worked that out and you're listening to this, you're in the wrong podcast. And if you've sussed that out, you've sussed out that most human interactions is a form of persuasion, negotiation, influence, marketing, sales, something like that. And in particular, recruitment. Whether actually you're looking for a job yourself, which is a selling process, or you're looking for somebody to join your team, which is actually it's more of a marketing and then a selling process, okay? What, in your opinion, is the biggest mistake that leaders, sales managers, types make when they're hiring salespeople?
Simply that they treat the hiring process like an admin task when they should treat it like a sales and marketing task.
With bells on.
That's it. It's just a shift in mindset. That's all it is. The problem that happens is that sales leaders, business owners, whoever they might be, they know how to sell and they know how marketing works. Those basics that we talk about there, what we're doing, for the most part, we're trying to hack into somebody's amygdala, emotional response, and their prefrontal cortex, logical side of things. That's all we're doing. We know to do that with customers. We know that's what we do. And the first rule when you speak out to, when you call a customer is, who do you not talk about?
Me.
The one person, me. Why?
Nobody cares.
Right. So what do you think that companies do when they go to market with a sales role? Who do they talk about?
Work for Big Co. We're fantastic. Big Co does following 15 things. At Big Co, you can find.
We were established in 1989. Nobody cares.
It's like the slide deck you see where the first 5 slides are, our founder went to this school and when he was a little boy liked cheese and toast. And then when he was, my God, please, save us.
Now, imagine if you did that same type of process with your customers, what would happen?
They'd all leave or you wouldn't get any.
Exactly. Your customers are human. When we're recruiting for a sales role, we're recruiting to a human. And by the way, I would argue that it's one of the hardest sales out there because you're not just selling a product, you're selling someone's entire life change, one of the hardest things to do in life. So it has a huge consequence behind it. But what they do is they don't approach it in that way. They approach it like an admin task. And often that's not necessarily the sales leader's fault. They outsource it. They outsource it to people who they think know what they're doing. Who do they outsource it to? HR team.
No.
Okay. So would you trust HR to write your copy?
No.
What would it look like if you got HR to write your copy?
It'd be a little dry.
Right. So, and what is a company's most important asset?
It's people.
Right. So you're trusting HR to attract your company's most important asset.
I love where you're going. Keep going. Yeah.
It's madness, right? When you actually break it down, you're like, this is crazy.
Oh, no, it's worse than madness. It's worse than madness. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing that didn't work again and again and again. And that is what they're doing.
Totally. And it's not just HR, by the way, because it might sound like I bash HR people a little bit here. It's not their fault. They're not trained sales or marketing people. They're trained in HR admin tasks. Their skill set is elsewhere. But if they're not giving it to HR people, they're also giving it to recruiters. And I can tell you, because I was trained by one of the biggest recruitment firms in the world that sets the standard for training recruiters, they don't teach you how to sell or market anything either. They teach you it like an admin task as well. So they're outsourcing it to one of those two types of people. And this is why, and you'll hear the same things, I hear the same things all the time. You'll see it on LinkedIn or wherever all the time. I put a sales job up, I get irrelevant applicants, job hopping applicants, people who've got no tenure, people who've not come from my industry, people who are just bad quality salespeople. I hear that time and time and time and time again. And then you look at what they're putting out there to attract salespeople, and you're like,
that's why you get the applicants you ask for.
Exactly. Big part of the problem with this is, I think it's useful for people listening to understand how the talent pool works, because no one really knows how the talent pool works. You've got your entire talent pool. Let's take where you're based in Hampshire, Paul, right? So you've got your talent pool. You've got your salespeople in a 30-mile radius of Fleet, right? So your talent pool is made up of generally two types of people: passive people, people who aren't looking, and active people, people who are looking. Now, passive people will become active and active people will become passive. So it's changing all the time. But generally speaking, what percentage of people do you think are active in the market? If you could put a percentage on it, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go 10%.
Correct. Between 5 and 10%. It's the same with customers, right? Customers who are actively looking to work with you and those who aren't. So 10%, 5 to 10% of the talent pool is active. That means they're on job boards looking at roles every day. The problem with that talent pool is, and it's what you find from people getting the postings, is a lot of those people are not good quality people. If you can afford to sit around in your pants and apply to 1,000 roles all day, the chances are...
I just got this vision in my head of just somebody doing, sorry, keep going.
And it is that exact person.
In my pants.
Now, that's a little bit unfair, because occasionally someone who's really good will be made redundant or whatever it might be. Now, but they are the minority in the active group. So the majority of the active group isn't great. The passive group, we spoke quickly about good quality salespeople before. What makes a good quality salesperson? Well, in my book, the good quality salespeople are the ones out there smashing it today, hitting targets, making money, they're happy, they're solving customer problems, they are doing it now, they're doing the job now and they're successful.
Yes.
Those people, if they're doing that, guess where they are not hanging out? On job boards.
Yeah.
Right? They're not there. So what happens is that you get a whole ton of applicants who are irrelevant and rubbish, basically, and that's what everybody finds. That's why they need to hire people like me, because we can get access to the passive pool, because we can be more proactive. I like to think of recruitment the same way you think of sales. You've got inbound and outbound. Your inbound lead gen is your advert, and your outbound is your headhunting. It's the same type of process.
Account-based marketing. Who are you going to have?
Exactly. You can tell I could recruit salespeople, right? So, but occasionally what happens is one of those passive guys who's really good will have a bad day, or ladies will have a bad day. Maybe their bonus wasn't as much as they wanted. Maybe they got a new manager, whatever it might be. They will become active for a period of time. Now that can be 10 minutes. That could be an hour. It could be a day. But that is the moment in time, if you're hiring a salesperson, where you need to be able to get their attention, attract their attention, hook it, convert that attention, and deliver what I call irresistible offer to that person to make them want to apply. Now that sounds very simple, super simple. The challenge is, and I've got some data here, just in your area, Fleet, 30-mile radius, how many sales roles do you think were advertised in the last 30 days in a 30-mile radius of where you're based?
30 miles includes the edges of London as well, so I wouldn't go there. But I don't know. Because it's 10,000.
Exactly. You're on it. I wish I could high five you through here, because you keep getting all the data spot on. 10,000 a month.
Wow.
So I'm that passive guy. I've just had a bad day. Do you know what? I'm just going to have a look what's out there. I go onto the job boards and I see 10,000 horrendously written adverts, which are all talking about we're established in 19... What is what are the chances that I'm firstly going to be attracted to read it, fully read it, and actually apply to it if I'm good? The chances are very, very low, really. So what I try to help sales leaders with is just put your sales hat on and your marketing hat on when you're doing this process. That's all we're doing. We're just making it attractive for somebody to apply to. Now, just to give you a couple of stats for how this affected my business. I started my own recruitment company 5 years ago. I like to say I'm a marketer who happens to place people in jobs. So I'm more of a marketing guy, really. But my adverts were really struggling. With our business, our adverts were struggling. And if you look at all data on adverts out there, they've got to it. It's basically the same graph as cold email outreach. It's just gone to the floor. Many reasons, different reasons for that. At the moment, globally, they convert at about 10%. So only about 10% of job adverts that a sales team will put out there will actually convert in a person joining the company. Now, that's down from 50% 10 years ago. So it's going through the floor. That's what we were experiencing. And I was already pretty good at writing them. So we were getting to about 8%. And I was like, geez, is it even worth us doing adverts anymore? Like, they're expensive. And most recruiters don't even bother with them now. They just focus on headhunting instead. So I looked at it and I was like, do you know what? No, I believe we can make them better. Started reading this book. It's called This Book Will Help You Write Better. Really short book. And it really sort of gave me a bit of an epiphany of the words that you write, shockingly, really matter. Who would have thought that? You know, we know that when you're texting your missus, and we know that when you're texting your mates or reaching out to customers, but we don't think about it when we're reaching out to potential job seekers. So I spent about 2 years sort of developing a formula with a bit of help from different copywriters as to how can we formulate this job advert? Like, what is a foolproof formula that works and converts? So we spent a while on it. We launched it, and overnight our adverts went from 10% to 65% success rate overnight. And we were getting between 3 and 5 times more relevant applicants, plus almost 50% more applicants in total, although that's not the metric you want to focus on. It's the relevant applicants that you want to focus on.
ICP.
It's your ICP, exactly. Your ICP is coming towards you. So overnight, we saw this massive jump, and I thought, holy moly, like, I wasn't expecting it to be that much. I thought maybe 5%, 10%. But this was huge, and I had a bit of a light bulb moment. I was like, all we're doing is writing slightly better. You don't have to be a copywriting genius. And we are essentially placing 50% more people from adverts. If companies did this, they could save potentially 50% plus of their recruitment spend. Everyone hates using me, really. We're very expensive.
Very expensive, yeah.
Very expensive. If you could reduce that, that's going to help. But more importantly, we were getting better quality people apply than ever before. We were getting those passive people who we could only usually get from headhunting were now coming to us from our adverts as well. So it was simply just by introducing this formula, which I can sort of run through quickly for you if you like, which is very simple and just sort of makes sense, but it was getting more people to apply.
I mean, you look out there and there are any number of top flight, super duper extra new hack trick ways of writing sequences and emails and adverts and all this sort of stuff. But your point right at the beginning was we've treated this as an admin task and not as a sales and marketing function. That really hits home.
Yeah, that's the crux of the problem.
Having seen some of the stuff, I mean, you sent a couple of examples. I wonder if we can share them with the listeners, perhaps.
Absolutely.
The description here. A couple of examples of an old ad, which was obviously painfully whacked through GPT in the olden days before anybody knew how to use it.
And that's the standard, by the way, Paul. That's you go out there, that's what you'll see.
It sucks. I got bored halfway through and I realized it was using all the artifacts of the GPT, the sort of the M dash and the capitalization emoji, and all these things. It says this is it's not even well done. I mean, I use it all the time. I use all the different AI tools all the time. But you use them as a tool. You don't use them as the output without even thinking about it. And then you rewrote it. And I think you probably ran it through a trained GPT as well, to give some of the structure and the way and the elements to that, but it was human. Then you built a very clever little video. You were advertising it, and that packaged together is a fabulous way of doing this. So you said there's a simple formula. What's the how-to here?
Step number one, and why no AI will ever help you.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I like that starting point.
No one gives a hoot about your company.
Yep.
No one cares. So even if you run it through the best GPT in the world, you're still just talking about yourself, which is what we explained already.
Hmm.
Nobody cares about. So the first thing is get out of your own way. You are marketing to a customer here.
Hmm.
They just happen to be a job seeker. You have to make it about them, what they want in their career. You can talk about yourself later. Once they've applied, you can send them a much larger job description. You can wax lyrical about your company all you like. But that initial attraction bit, it has to be focused on the job seeker, what they want and their desires. So first thing I say is no one gives a hoot about your company. The second thing is we're talking about job adverts, not job descriptions. There's a different thing here.
Yes.
I like to think about this like a cereal box. The job advert is at the front of a cereal box. It's flashy. People want to go to it and buy it, right? The back of a cereal box is like a job description. It's just a lot more information about that cereal box. Now, imagine how badly that cereal would sell if you turn that round in the aisles and it would seriously decline, right? So the advert and the description is something different. People just post job descriptions online. They post too much boring, I call them professional ransom notes, boring information, laundry lists. Oh my God, it's so boring. So what you want to focus on is an advert. What's the purpose of an advert? It's to attract attention, get somebody to buy from you. Right?
It's to sell when you're not there.
Yeah, it's literally in the word, right? We know what an advert is, apart from everyone knows what an advert is until it comes to job adverts. And then it's like, oh, it's like mythical. Like, what do we do? It's the same process that we do with the customer. So no one cares about you. Job adverts, not job descriptions. The third thing, which is most important here, all we're doing, and what you might have seen from those adverts there, Paul, is why they seem human, is because we are talking about the benefits of somebody joining.
Hmm.
And the way that we talk about those benefits is we're hacking, first of all, into the emotional or lifestyle benefit. And then we're backing that up with evidence, which solidifies that in their prefrontal cortex as to why this is actually going to happen. So in that role there, you might have noticed that was specifically, we were looking for somebody who wanted to create something from scratch.
Yep.
Someone who wanted to leave their mark, leave their legacy. They could be the one in control of the situation. They would have control over their life,
Hmm.
big emotional benefit, especially for people in large corporates where they have no control and they're completely handcuffed with what they can do. So the big emotional lifestyle benefit was someone have control and freedom over how they get to set up their career. And then we backed that up with the evidence. Well, the evidence was there's no sales director in this company already. They've never had one. So you're going to be that guy, and they want to give you all of that control. So we've hacked into the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, both in those parts there, just in that one benefit. So all you're doing in this is you're putting one benefit after another. And what do I mean by benefits? People, when I talk about benefits, people like salary. Okay, that's a hard benefit. Unfortunately, most companies can't compete on salary. Most companies are paying relatively the same. So you can't really compete on salary. When I'm thinking about other benefits, we're talking about creating something from scratch. We're talking about progression. We're talking about ownership, control, development, freedom,
Hmm.
all of these things that people actually want in their life. Think about where you were in your career at one stage. At one stage, you probably really wanted development. At another stage, you probably really wanted progression. At another stage, you probably really wanted money. So we're making whatever, every role has got these benefits in them, by the way. Every single role, doesn't matter how boring the company is or how bad the role is, they've got some of these benefits in there. You just have to frame them as benefits and list one after another. And that's what's going to get people interested in it. Just to give you an example of what I mean here for sales specifically. For some people, as you know, traveling every single day to meet customers is not a benefit.
Hmm.
But for some people, it really is.
Yeah.
You just got to frame it like that. For some people, being in the office 5 days a week is not a benefit. But for some people, it really is.
Yeah.
You just got to frame it like that. So if you create your adverts like that, not only do you get better people, you get the right people for the environment you're going into. I call it the bat signal. If you're making the office environment the big selling point and the culture, well, guess what? Who's not going to apply to that? Somebody who wants a remote role. It's going to be somebody who wants to be in a team. Likewise, if you've got a role on, especially junior sales roles, right? What do junior salespeople want? Development a lot of the time, path to progression, these things. If you fill the advert with development, how they're going to learn, what unique skills are they going to learn? How's that going to affect them later in life? That's going to get more people who want that development applying to it. So it's just benefit one after the other. I like to sort of say 90% of it should be focused on the job seeker, and then 10% can be a bit about the company.
Yeah, beautiful. So we talked about lots of different sorts of candidates who are out there. You've got the ones who are not looking, the ones who are looking, the ones who are looking who are good, the ones who are looking who are not so good. How do you then differentiate between a great salesperson and an average one? Because the difference, I think, is not just somebody who's doing 70% of their quota and somebody who does 100 or 105. It's somebody who's doing 70% and somebody who's doing 200. That's great. How do you differentiate that? Because I think there's a lot of people, a lot of sales managers out there who really struggle to assess talent beyond just somebody having a great interview. The silver-tongued salesman, right? Silver-tongued saleswoman. It's a species. We're really, really good at this. We're really good at talking. That's what we get hired for. What signs should they look for to make sure they're bringing in a true top performer?
Can I caveat that question just slightly?
Go.
How I think about this, because great and good is a subjective thing.
Ready?
From person to person. The way I like to think about it is the right hire, because not always. I mean, I had a client last year where they didn't really need an A-star super hitter. They needed a steady Eddie B grade guy who was going to be in that role for 10 years.
There you go.
He was always going to be 7 out of 10. You know, he was Dennis Irwin, 7 out of 10 every week. He was the right guy for that. Also, if you're looking for great, you know, a problem that you've probably seen, I see it often, is companies want young hot shots, right? That's I want a young hot shot in my business.
Well, go on.
Well, the problem is those people often move on very quickly.
18 months.
18 months, 2 years, they're looking for the next thing and the next thing. Was that the right hire for you? So it's about looking at what your situation is and then deciding what is the right type of person for us. And being very honest with what that looks like, and also being very honest with what situation they're currently going into. The problem I see with a lot of sales leaders when they hire is you read what they're putting out there. I don't think they even know what they're hiring for. Are they looking for a farmer? Are they looking for a hunter? Are they looking for, what are they looking for? They're looking for someone in hybrid. They don't make it clear. So what happens is you see hunters applying for farming roles and farmers applying for hunting roles, and then it's a little bit all over the place.
You're looking for a transactional small, medium enterprise salesperson for 6-month, 2-day sales cycles, the average sales price of $2,000 to 2.5 million. What?
Totally. And so it really, the way I sort of have it is a scorecard. So when I sit down with a prospective new client, we spend about 2 hours with each other because I really need to find out all the good, the bad, and the ugly. And after 2 hours, you can create a scorecard where you can go, okay, a great person for you looks like somebody who's local, they like traveling, they love new business, they've worked within your particular industry, etc., etc. That's the type of scorecard that you'd want to make. And then when I'm speaking to those people, the more of those boxes that you're going to tick, the better. Now, is it a foolproof system? No, because people lie.
Yep.
Those people lie often. And I know that companies don't want the best people as well. This is another thing, which is kind of going to, when you think about it, it's kind of true. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I speak to companies where let's say they're looking for a BDM. I'll give them 4 people from their industry who are average, and then I'll give them 1 guy who you can tell has done 10 times the new business than the other ones have done, but he's coming from a different industry. Which one do you think gets kicked out first of that process?
Different industry every time.
Even though he's superior. Why is that? Because they want the right person, maybe not always necessarily the best person.
It's like this, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with tech, and you've got somebody in a startup who's thinking, we've got this fabulous candidate. He used to run the global sales team at IBM. no, he's not the right guy for you. You know,
Mm.
you've got one guy, a laptop, and a phone, and this person has come from an environment where they've had everything
An
handed to them
army behind them.
and a brand.
Yeah, the brand. Yeah.
And a
Yeah,
brand,
that's a big part of it.
you
Yeah.
know,
You're
I
looking
think.
for different things. Like one of them is new business is a big problem, right?
Mhm.
Like new business sales hunters is probably 90% of the roles that we do.
Yeah,
There's less of those people around. They're harder to reach. So they're the ones that we get. And when you're looking at that type of person, you're looking for the evidence and role after role of them developing new patches from scratch. And if you want a bit more evidence, have they got testimonials from customers? Have they got um, feedback from hiring managers that we can get access to? That type of thing. Now, those things are a little bit hard to get, and you do have to take people's word for it a little bit. So there has to be an element of trust. And like I say, we are dealing with people here, but you're looking for the evidence of that person doing your job in your situation time and time again and having success in it.
yeah. And there's a question that I like to use, which is you're going through somebody's CV, and the CVs need to have numbers on, by the way.
Yeah, they rarely do as well.
Right? So you're going through somebody's CV and say, just let's go through this in detail. Walk me through all of these roles, what you did, how and when you did it. And
Mm.
just to be clear, I'm assuming that when I speak to each of your previous managers, they will validate all of
Yep,
those numbers,
yep, yep.
right? When I speak to these people, they will tell me that you're not doing pokey pies.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I know I said I did 5 million here. It was more like, more like 3.5. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. I don't mind because CVs are full of lies as long
Yeah,
as you tell me the truth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a big problem. I often find a big red flag as soon as a salesperson doesn't know their numbers off the top of their head. If they
Yeah,
have to and about it, it's like, you should know that
yeah,
immediately. I don't
yeah,
care if you're a farmer or a hunter or whatever. The only time I give people a little bit of slack on that is that I know a lot of companies don't give that sales information.
mm.
They just don't have it. Um, but other than that, yeah.
I mean, even then, any salesperson worth their salt tracks their own.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Where's your pipe? How's that work?
Yeah.
Although, admittedly, I did talk to one chap, and they were selling usage licenses, and they were tracked on number of licenses, not on a monetary. No, yeah,
Mm.
okay, fine. Company went bust about a year after I spoke to them.
Yeah. I
Okay.
worked with a company not long ago where their sales guys are tracked on because they sell essentially tissue paper tonnage.
Wow, it's a 10 tonner.
Yeah, it's tonnage that they
I
work
love
on.
it. I love it. You had a great story where this company you brought you in. They tried to find the right person, and
Mm.
they're about 10 million turnover. Can you tell us, walk us through that little story because it's such a good.
Yeah, this illustrates what we're talking about, I think, kind of perfectly because that company in my industry, so I recruit in a very specific industry, the cleaning and hygiene industry, industry our family's been in for a long time. One company, we reached out to them, £10 million company, stagnated for 5, 6 years. They hadn't had any growth. They were a Frankenstein of four different companies that had
Mhm.
just combined, and they never had a sales leader. They had the definition of insanity every single year. How are we going to get out of this? How are we going to grow? And they didn't know what to do. Eventually, they were like, right, we're gonna invest in a sales director. We're going to get one. I went and had a meeting with the business owners, and it was like the most depressive meeting I've ever had. Like they were so depressed and down in the dumps about what they could achieve. They were like, we'd literally take anybody right now. Like we because they were in a bad area location wise, and the company they thought they were super unattractive. And if you looked on paper, you look at it and go, that looks really bad. But when I'm speaking with them, I'm nodding my head and I'm getting excited because it's all about the framing again. Like to them, they saw this as why would anyone want to join? I know a lot of sales leaders, I'm sure you met these people, they really want to get their teeth stuck into something and create it.
Mhm.
And they're stuck in big corporate companies where they can't really do too much and they're very
They're
bored.
spreadsheet monkeys.
Spreadsheet
That was my
monkeys,
last job. I ended up as a spreadsheet monkey, completely demoralized.
it's horrible, right?
Totally.
You just wanna, they've got that entrepreneurial spirit, but they've
Mm.
never been able to direct it into anything in their current business. So I'm looking at this like, we're going to do just fine. So there's the biggest company in our industry. They had a head of business development there. probably the biggest sales guy in our industry, did 25 million pounds worth of new business last year, 17 million before that. Big hitter, managed teams of 24 people. And I knew he was pretty sick of where he was at. He was a spreadsheet monkey. He was turning into that, and he wants to create something. So I went to him with this opportunity, or he applied to it even. And when I spoke with him, he said, is this role for this company? I was like, yeah, how do you know that? He goes, I saw this advert 6 months ago. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why didn't you apply to it? He goes, it looked boring as hell. It looked boring as hell.
Mm-hmm.
This looks exciting, what you've put in front of me. This
Same
speaks
role.
to me.
Same
Same
role.
role. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And it's not about lying to people at all, because in that advert, they need help, basically, is what we're saying. You're the person who's going to deliver that help. And you're the one who's going to take this company, double its turnover in the next 5 years, create all the processes, do everything your way. You're going to have full freedom to do that. That spoke to him. And he was like, right, let's do it. And 2 weeks later, he joined the business. And he took a 20 grand pay cut.
Ooh.
And he moved from the top of the country to the bottom of the country to do it.
Wow.
They couldn't believe they got someone of that caliber, and he's having great success there at the moment. He's only been in there a few months, but they've almost already doubled their turnover just with him being there that long, because he's got 20 years worth of knowledge that he can bring to the table. Both parties, it was perfect. And that's what I'm saying about the bat signal. Mm-hmm. That person wanted control, growth, mm-hmm. excitement over his life. You put that in the sky, and that's the type of person that you'll get.
Amazing. Amazing. Where can people find you if they need you?
Yeah, best place to find me is probably LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
My name is David Revell. Revell is Revell. And my recruitment company is called Charter Recruitment. That's CHARTA. Connect with me. Send me your rubbish job adverts if you want. I'll tell you how to fix it. It's not rocket science. It's just a bit of a mindset shift. Just put yourself in the shoes of the candidate who you're trying to hire. That's all we're doing. And you've been in their shoes most likely at some point in your career, so you know how it feels. That's what you got to do.
David Revell, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Cheers, Paul. It's been a blast. Thank you.